Welcome to our continuing series of questions and answers. Today's subject is Knowledge Part 2, From the Mother. There are some who are at the bottom. There are others who belong to another rung. There are people who may have very remarkable capacities but have no taste for intellectual development. They may be warned that if they do not work, do not study, they will feel embarrassed perhaps in the presence of others when they are grown up. But if it is all the same for them, and if they want to live a life that is not intellectual, I consider that none has the right to force them. This is my constant quarrel with the teachers of the school. They come and tell me if they do not work, they will be stupid and ignorant. I say, if it pleases them to be stupid and ignorant, what right have you to interfere? You cannot make knowledge and intelligence compulsory. That's all. The mind, if it is not under check, is something fluid, imprecise. If you do not have the habit of concentrating it on some subject, it is floating about all the time. It goes about, stops nowhere, and floats in a world of imprecision. And then, when you want to fix your attention, how painful it is. You make just a little effort there. Oh, it is tiring, it pains. And you give up. You live in a cloud, as it were. You have your head. It is like that. Most of the heads are like that, in the clouds. It has neither precision, nor exactitude, nor clarity. It is hazy, vague, and misty. You have more the impressions rather than the knowledge of things. You live in an approximation, and you can keep within yourself all kinds of contradictory ideas made out of your impressions and sensations and feelings and emotions, all kinds of things such as these that have very little to do with thought and are mere vaguenesses. But if you want to attain a thought, precise, concrete, clear, definite on a certain point, you must make an effort, gather yourself, fix yourself, concentrate yourself. And the first time you do it, literally it pains you, it tires you. So then, the aim of those who know, teachers, instructors, or others, the very purpose for which they exist would be to inform you, to help you. When you have a matter which appears difficult to you, you submit your problem, and they, with their personal experience, can tell you, no, it is not like this or like that. You must do that. You must try this. Then, instead of forcing you to absorb theories, principles, or so-called laws, and a more or less abstract knowledge, they would be there to give you any information from the most material to the most spiritual things, each in his own province, each according to his capacity. Very evidently, if you are thrown into the world without the least technical knowledge, you can do dangerous things. Take a child who knows nothing. The first thing he will do, if he has matches, for example, is to burn himself. Therefore, in this field, from the purely material point of view, it is good that there are people who know and can give you information, for otherwise, if each one had to learn by his own experience, One would need several lives to know of the most indispensable things. That is the true use of professors and instructors. They have learned more or less practically or by a special study, and they can give you information about things whose knowledge is indispensable. Then you gain time, much time. That is their utility, to answer to questions. Question. Sri Aurobindo has written, and yet there is in the heart or behind it a profounder mystic light. What is this mystic light? Mother. It is love. Question. After that, Sri Aurobindo writes, which, if not what we call intuition, for that, though not of the mind, yet descends through the mind, has yet a direct touch upon the truth, and is nearer to the divine than the human intellect in its pride of knowledge. What does Sri Aurobindo mean? Mother. It is not intuition, it is light. It is knowledge through love, understanding through love, because intuition belongs to the intellect, in its expression at any rate, whereas the other thing is a kind of direct knowledge, almost by identity, which comes from love. Question. If the heart can serve for a more direct knowledge, then what is the role of the intellect as an intermediary of knowledge? Mother. The mind is not an instrument for knowledge, but it can utilize knowledge in order to organize action, and that is its true role, the formation and organization of action. It is mind that puts in order the different elements of inspiration. You feel that very well when you want to organize your life, for example. There is an intellectual faculty which immediately puts each thing in its place, makes a plan, and organizes. But the knowledge does not come from the mind. It comes from the mystic depths of the soul, or from a higher consciousness, and the mind concentrates it in the physical world and organizes it in order to give a basis for action. After all, it is simply the working of the consciousness, simply a certain self-mastery, a control over the body, a direct knowledge of things, a capacity for identification, and a clear vision instead of this cloudy and hazy vision which sees only the appearance, which is so deceptive, so unreal, so fossilized. A more direct perception, an inner perception that must come. It will come soon if you are prepared. All these things are sometimes a mixed light, that is to say, attenuated knowledge, knowledge mixed with ignorance, and at times they are a false light, not knowledge at all. They are simply ideas, conceptions, ways of seeing, ways of feeling. All these things that are considered as knowledge in the ordinary human consciousness. Question. And the needs of the body, are they too false lights? Mother. Sri Aurobindo tells us that even the physical needs, which are generally considered imperative, and about which it is said that they carry their truths in themselves, are merely a partial light, that is to say, a semblance of knowledge, or even a false thing. Question. Can a yogi attain to a state of consciousness in which he can know all things, answer all questions, relating even to abstruse scientific problems such as, for example, the theory of relativity? But there is knowledge and knowledge. The yogi does not know in the way of the mind. He does not know everything in the sense that he has access to all possible information, or because he contains all the facts of the universe in his mind, or because his consciousness is a sort of miraculous encyclopedia. He knows by his capacity for a containing or dynamic identity with things and persons and forces. Or he knows because he lives in a plane of consciousness or is in contact with a consciousness in which there is the truth, the knowledge. If you are in the true consciousness, the knowledge you have will also be of the truth. Then, too, you can know directly by being one with what you know. If a problem is put before you, if you are asked what is to be done in a particular matter, you can then, by looking with enough attention and concentration, receive spontaneously the required knowledge and the true answer. It is not by any careful application of theory that you reach the knowledge, or by working it out through a mental process. The scientific mind needs these methods to come to its conclusions, but the yogi's knowledge is direct and immediate. It is not deductive. If an engineer has to find out the exact position for the building of an arc, the line of its curve and the size of its opening, he does it by calculation, collating and deducing from his information and data. But a yogi needs none of these things. He looks, has the vision of the thing, sees that it is to be done in this way and not in another, and this seeing is his knowledge. Although it may be true in a general way and in a certain sense that a yogi can know all things and can answer all questions from his own field of vision and consciousness, yet it does not follow that there are no questions whatever of any kind to which he would not or could not answer. A yogi who has the direct knowledge, the knowledge of the true truth of things, would not care or perhaps would find it difficult to answer questions that belong entirely to the domain of human mental constructions. It may be he could not or would not wish to solve problems and difficulties you might put to him, which touch only the illusion of things and their appearances. The working of his knowledge is not in the mind. If you put him some silly mental query of that character, he probably would not answer. The very common conception that you can put any ignorant question to him as to some super schoolmaster or demand from him any kind of information, past, present, or future, and that he is bound to answer, is a foolish idea. It is as inept as the expectation from the spiritual man of feats and miracles that would satisfy the vulgar external mind and leave it gaping with wonder. Thus, if you go deep into silence, you can reach a level of consciousness on which it is not impossible for you to receive answers to all your questions. And if there is one who is consciously open to the plenary truth of the supermind, in constant contact with it, he can certainly answer any question that is worth an answer from the supramental light. The queries put must come from some sense of the truth and reality behind things. There are many questions and much debated problems that are cobwebs woven of mere mental abstractions or move on the illusory surface of things. These do not pertain to real knowledge. They are a deformation of knowledge. Their very substance is of the ignorance. Certainly, the supramental knowledge may give an answer, its own answer to the problems set by the mind's ignorance. But it is likely that it would not be at all satisfactory or perhaps even intelligible to those who ask from the mental level. You must not expect the supramental to work in the way of the mind or demand that the knowledge in truth should be capable of being pieced together with the half knowledge in ignorance. The scheme of the mind is one thing, but supermind is quite another. It would no longer be supramental if it adapted itself to the exigencies of the mental scheme. The two are incommensurable and cannot be put together.